Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hands on Living. I am your host, Peter Arena. It is July 10th, 2025, and I am here in Sligo,
Yeah, good job.
Pennsylvania, with my harvest hosts, Eric and Cristina from Heartsmith Homestead. I apologize.
Got it.
And we are going to discuss what their aspirations are and what got them here and what they're planning to do and all of the interesting things that are leading to their hands-on life here in the beautiful hills of Pennsylvania. So, without further ado, Christina, Eric.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there. Christina, tell me what got you guys here.
Well, the condensed version
Yeah.
is we were in St. Louis and both decided that wasn't where we wanted to be on separate occasions.
Mhm.
We found ourselves in Colorado, but also realized eventually that we could not afford land there. So we started just kind of looking into where land was affordable, and we found 25 acres here.
It's a beautiful area. This is a magnificent place. Going up the winding hills and getting here was, I was like, okay, I'm coming to the right place. And by the way, what led me here is that I am a guest via the organization called Harvest Hosts, and Eric and Christina are my first hosts, and they are gracious hosts at that. And so, anyhow, so you guys found some affordable property, and
Broken,
got here.
but affordable.
Got here when?
It was December 1st of, what was it?
2023, maybe.
2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's been a blur.
okay, thank you. Eric, tell me what it is that you guys are working to create here.
Well, I mean, that's a long list,
Okay,
and
and we're
we're
going to take a nice long breath here and have a nice conversation about what you're doing.
so we're definitely going with the flow, so to speak.
Yeah.
As far as like high level, why do we live A, B, and C? Like, why has society constructed this way of living? Because when you look at it, it doesn't seem very peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, create something different. We talked yesterday, and it was about how powerful our imagination is. So let's imagine something different, but also not have this bound of like it has to be this. This is our plan, and it has to go exactly how the plan goes. We want to create a community that has kindness, respect, and gratitude, and that people can learn to like govern themselves and bring peace in their life, and to where it overflows into everybody else.
So, if I may, the kindness, respect, and gratitude seems like the foundation of a mission statement for your organization and
Just life in general.
and
Like if you can have respect for other people, which respect means different things. And I found this term when I went on my when I went to Texas for 6 months and met a really awesome group of people that helped me get through a lot, and that was kind of like what they based their life on, was kindness, respect, and gratitude. And I thought that was an amazing.
And it was working.
Wait, for the most part, I mean, they had a lot of challenges, and it actually didn't work out between all of us, for many reasons. But regardless, it's leave with grace and have kindness, respect, and gratitude, and yeah, and I would say, but to sum that up, peace, right? Bring peace to yourself and bring peace to others, and don't. So many of us, are taught to give when our cup is empty. we have nothing left to give,
Right.
and we continue to give, and then that ends up not serving anybody. So
Yeah.
like, why has society programmed us like that? It seems like a weird thing. So
So
here
yeah,
it's like, fill your cup up.
we're trying to give to others when we have not replenished ourselves,
Enough to
and
even
we're
give.
walking we're trying to dole out from an empty warehouse, and you're not accomplishing anything.
Yeah, there's not, just kind of more heartache, and honestly more sadness, like, and more,
Turmoil.
you're just, you are giving because you want those people to feel like what you want to feel,
Okay.
but you don't yourself know how to do that, so you give it to others, right?
So Christina, as you guys are aware, and from our conversation yesterday evening, I am making the centerpiece of this show, not necessarily exclusively, but the centerpiece of the show is to look at and investigate and introduce to the wider audience people who are engaging in this hands-on living, as it were, that is what I call AI proof. But we also discussed how AI, artificial intelligence, is not necessarily the enemy,
Mm-hmm.
and not to be contrarian or Luddite about it, but the fact that we have the opportunity to employ and utilize that technology to our benefit to reach the aims that you've, in this case, outlined. So, what are your thoughts on that, and with regard to what you're doing here, and in conjunction with AI?
Yeah. Well, for me personally, I have used AI as mostly a research tool,
Uh huh.
um, to help me with framework for the nonprofit, help me get through the many, many, many steps of becoming 501c3 tax exempt,
Okay.
um, and to look for grants and other potential funding opportunities.
Mm.
That's how I personally utilize AI. I know Eric can tell you a whole bunch
Yeah.
of other things on how he plans to utilize it by help make things more automated around here so that we have more of the tedious stuff being taken care of so that we can utilize our time more effectively to, collect eggs, start a garden,
I like that.
reach out and help other
The
people.
egg collecting is an essential task, I
Yeah,
can
AI
assure
can't
you.
go out and collect eggs for us
That's right.
yet.
Yeah, no
Well,
joke.
that's true. We need to expand our horizons on what the possibilities are for AI. But I think uh, that leads us into the next point, and that is, and I think this is the more robust thing that I personally would like to hear you expand upon, and that is what your vision is for what you have here. What is the scope, um, of what you're trying to achieve? How about you help us out with that, Eric?
For, I mean, it's gonna sound crazy,
I love
but
it. I love crazy. Crazy's
but
good.
we're free. Like, I'm trying to try not to get emotional on this, but we're free, and we've all bought into this hypnosis illusion that we are not free, and then that we have to live in fear. When there's so many people, if we, and that's the biggest thing, if we can come together, if we can put our belief systems aside and say, how do we coexist, and how do we do something, or contribute to something that's greater than ourselves. Everybody wants purpose. Everybody wants to feel like they're contributing and they're doing something. I think most people, maybe not some people, but that's okay
I
too.
think when people are cognizant of that, even that concept, I think you're probably right. But I think a lot of people, because they are in this hypnotic state of, they're not even aware of the fact.
They're
They're not aware of the walls of the prison that they're in.
Everybody was worried about the zombie apocalypse and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but we didn't realize it was already happening.
Oh yeah, right.
We became zombies, and we became so numb to our feelings, for one. you're not supposed to express your feelings. You're not, I mean, especially if you look at, 20 or 30 years ago, for men, it was like, what are you crying? That's crazy. Like, you do that when you're dead, and then to not be able to express yourself fully, like, no one is, I feel like, in touch with their emotional side. And we're so in this hypnotized state of like fear, shame, and guilt that there's your brain can't function. I mean, if you want to look at it at a spiritual level or a neurology level, we know that your brain, if it's in duress, like, it can't think logically. Well, if you are worrying about, you know food and shelter and energy, which, back in the day, that was like a kind of a hard thing to come by, like, or a harder thing to come by. But, like, let's just take even a subdivision. Let's not say necessarily all of this. So if a subdivision came together and said, like, all right, how do we all work together to free ourselves from this? Well, we all don't need 600 cars, right? So why are we all making these payments? Or why are we all, can we put, can Bob come over to my house and help put solar panels on? There is an infinite amount of ways to actually have freedom, but we are too scared, for one, to be vulnerable with each other, to be vulnerable with ourselves, to where we can even be vulnerable with each other. And, so, like, back to the point of what's the point of this place, or what we're trying to build is a new system of living. And it's not just us. You can see this happening around all the United States.
Absolutely. I think it's going on like a wildfire across the country, actually.
Everybody that turned like 30, because, like, we're all in the same, like, similar group. We kind of were like, I feel like it was like, all right, well, this seems like a scam. For one, I have to, like, work my entire life, and then, I get retirement, and then I can live my life. I don't know who imagined that idea, but, like, that's dumb. I don't know how else to explain that. That doesn't even make sense. And then also, let's work all these hours and put all this hard work in to go on vacation, instead of building a place that you don't need a vacation from.
Well,
like, to where you're on vacation every day, and, like, going to the beach is just a bonus.
Right.
So, like, and why is our mindsets not in that, like, let's build a place we don't need a vacation from? If you want, if you want an organic pool, like, go build it and have it. If you want a jungle gym, go build it. Go, and you don't have to leave.
And so the other thing I noticed from chatting yesterday evening was that you are gathering people around you. It's not necessarily a commune per se, whatever that means, but you are effectively saying, look, there are many hands make light work.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And so, if we have these goals, and if each individual has their own perspective on how they want to do things, we'll allow that person to do so, and then ask the others in this sort of anarchic kind of model of no leaders, but people who are going to kind of lead on any given project or passion,
whatever their strong suit is, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, if you have a bunch of people that it's like, hey, no, like, this guy actually knows, like, what he's doing in this aspect,
right?
Like, yeah, let him lead. There was a saying of, like, if you want to learn to lead, you better learn to follow.
Yeah.
And, like, I think that's super powerful, because, like, our society isn't as a hierarchy, right? Like, that is what we have said. We have said, these people are on top and you guys are on bottom.
Yeah.
And that is, like, okay, mistake one, right? People are holding themselves above each other, instead of understanding that they are the fabric of each other, right?
Yeah, we've tended to gravitate towards those hierarchical sorts of arrangements because, for whatever reason, people get complacent, in my opinion, and they just want to be told what to do and where to go.
And that's, I'm not saying that, like, that is inherently wrong either, but also be conscious. Like, don't just blindly follow people, like, and have your voice when it's necessary. There are people that are like, no, I'm not trying to organize 10 people, or I'm not trying to, like, do events, or, it's like, I really don't want that. And that that's okay. But when that person now, because they don't want to do that, becomes less than, then that's when your community has a big problem.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because there is no less than or greater than. And like, to really implement that, though, I think you do have to have a bunch of people that are very self-governed. Like, you have to know yourself, and you have to know your boundaries, and you have to have a voice. And there's so many people that don't practice their voice.
Yeah, the participants need to be on. In some respects, everybody needs to be singing from the same page of the hymnal, and be self-aware of the fact that they are an individual that is exercising their will and interest in this collective effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter
So-
what we all believe in, because there's too many different belief systems out there, right? Like, there's literally infinite amount of belief systems. So that the belief system for me is not a big one. Believe what you want to believe, as long as it brings peace.
And
That's why
yeah,
our-
and go ahead.
And that's why it always comes down to like just kindness, respect, and gratitude.
Right, as long as it's adhering to those basic
Mhm.
tenets that
Yeah.
you've set out. These are the basic founding principles.
Mhm.
Adhere to those. It's kind of like, everybody, as long as you all are obeying the 10 commandments, then we're all good. And you've got 3 commandments. So
Yeah.
We try to keep it more simple, right?
Right.
and it's not, we're not perfect. Like, we are perfectly imperfect, right?
Yeah.
So there are times to where, people are not going to have kindness, respect, and gratitude. But when that happens, if the person that is experienced that can stop for a second, go within and go, wow, this whatever this happened, like, triggered me so bad that I was not able to stay centered.
Mhm.
And if that person can go, okay, so what is, and have discernment of like what it is within them, that like, hey, these actually, like, you really triggered my abandonment wound, or my self-esteem, or worthiness. And if that person can take just a moment to self-reflect and get to the core of it, and then come back with like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't have kindness, I didn't have respect, and I didn't have gratitude. Because it's not like it's a perfect thing, and just everyone's all the time going to do that, even myself, her. And it's about being able to coming back and saying, hey, this was an issue, let's fix it.
These are age old. This is age old stuff of people interacting with one another. We've got the opportunity to work productively and peacefully with one another. And if you don't abide by some really fundamental rules, then you're not going to get along, and you're not going to accomplish anything.
Right. You're just going to sit and argue about, honestly, mostly meaning
street,
stuff.
like you said last night. It really is a two-way street. That person needs to account for their behavior towards the other person.
Accountability is a huge one.
It's like, well, you're going to have to take charge of how you feel about what was said to you.
Right.
My words are not harming you. You're being harmed by
by yourself.
Reaction to my words.
You are your biggest enemy. I really think that's a true statement.
So, you guys, from what I've gathered, looking at this beautiful place that you've been blessed with, you have all of the working parts for creating the space that I think that if I understand your nonprofit foundation's intentions, is to create a place for healing and learning for people. But please help me, either of you, however you feel wants to take the lead on this, flesh out a vision for me. Give me a 5-year vision. What you feel 5 years from now, it's 2030. I can't believe I'm even saying 2030. But it's 2030, and you guys are here. What does it look like? What are you doing? What have you accomplished? What are your aspirations and dreams for this place? Who wants to start?
I'll start. Well, I would love to see in 5 years a few different things happening. I'd love to see people who come to the land to breathe and have a place to heal and have time and not be worrying about the day to day, gotta grind.
A retreat, a refuge.
Yeah. for like temporary housing to get people on their feet.
Okay.
But also I see like more dorm style things going on to help, newly sober people or fresh out of the military veterans that,
Okay.
need a little bit more help
A lot of
getting a
that.
footing, back into real world or
Yeah, right,
however
right.
they
The
see
real
it.
world, right, right.
Yeah. And then throughout those ventures, hopefully people here and there that this resonates with stick around to help us be able to help even more people until we're like a nice little community with its own little farm stand, and maybe it's even its own like tattoo parlor and its
Mhm.
own, you
Okay.
know, theater, and just everybody
Hmm.
having combined efforts to perpetuate that ripple of good into the
Beautiful.
world. Yeah.
Eric, you got
I've got
anything
a,
to add, or
I've got a pretty
you,
detailed
you
plan.
gave me some pretty interesting stuff last
Um,
night. I got to tell you, I don't know if you want to elaborate on any of that.
I uh, I have a plan, but I don't know exactly how that's going to work. So it is like, here's my
I'd be
intention.
suspicious if you said you did.
Well,
Here's how it's gonna work.
here, here's the intention, and then let like God or the universe, again, whatever label you want to put on it, actually work the magic, right? And like, because yes, veterans and anybody that needs help, like, but everybody's welcomed. Like, so I feel like whoever's meant to find this place will find this place, rather if that's someone just walking on the road or at a gas station or whatever. Like, whoever's meant to find this place will find this place.
Mm-hmm.
um in 5 years, that's a lot. That's a big one. But basically, like, I love, homesteading, I think, is important, right? But also, we have more technology than what we know to do with, and
Yeah.
like, we need some basic fundamentals, right? We need free water. We have a well. Free food. We can grow that, and we're going to do hydroponics and stuff to where it grows all year round. And then shelter, so like this thing being completely paid off, right? So once those fundamental things are like, well, then everything else is free. So technically, people don't have to contribute monetarily to
Mm-hmm.
be here, because like, our society is based, if you don't bring monetary, you're nothing. And like, that's like the first thing that I think
Right.
would just utter eliminate. Like, nope, there's plenty of money. That is, we are not going to define anybody's worth on money.
It is a trap. It's a
Yes,
trap, no doubt. It's a crutch, in my opinion.
it's an illusion.
And well, yeah, it's a dependency based upon familiarity in a lot of ways. I don't know how else to transact or communicate with other people
Without,
except
yes,
without
yeah.
that medium of exchange,
And
that form of medium of exchange.
that for me is a devilish playground. Like, that is not godly. That is bound. Like, water's free, and now, like, yes, people always have to like come together to do things. Like, someone did hang that power line up.
Right.
Now the goal is to not use that power line,
Right.
to where this place is efficient.
Yeah.
World could shut down. This place literally doesn't even miss a step.
Yeah.
So now, the 5-year plan. How do you even begin to afford something like that? How do you do that? So like, I believe that will happen in ways that very unexpected. But also, like, that's kind of I see what's happening with AI, and like, it's crazy. And
How so?
people don't know yet. But I keep moving my timeline closer. I was basically expecting 10 years. I'm more at like 3 years now, and every 3 months AI is doubling in power.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, if you look at a chart, from the 1920s, like, technology did this, but like, it's about, like, there's no this anymore. It's just directly straight up.
Yeah, we're on the other side of the hockey stick of the exponential
It's
inflection.
just going to go up. And then like we're introducing quantum computing,
Yeah.
which is able to, which I haven't done too much studying about it, but basically it's figuring out problems that would take us a very, very long time to figure out, and it's figuring out in minutes. So like we're about to see a shift that is more bigger than the gold rush, bigger than the what is it, industrial revolution. Like that's going to look like nothing to compare what we're about to see. And everybody that thinks that they're secure right now is not, because in the next,
as far as job security,
anyway, yeah.
And I have to say, personally, one of the things that strikes me as important about what you're doing is the fact that you're going as a result of what's coming, what's actually happening at an ever accelerating rate. You're going to see people destabilized and uh, unmoored from what they consider to be otherwise stable futures. And
Yeah.
so as a
Yeah.
result, the behavior of those people are apt to get equally unstable, and they're going to need some place to
find stability.
Be re-anchored. Yeah.
And having shelter, food, and water is going to be that anchor, because their jobs are going to be gone. Everybody's jobs, I mean, if you search the websites now, everybody has an AI assistant. Every website has like, oh, you don't know how to do this? Click.
Right.
Here's your answer. And then it's going to turn in, well, I mean, I owned a software company, but I was in meetings. I didn't do anything. I didn't know a bit about software. I couldn't tell you what JavaScript was, what, any of that stuff was. Well, it took me 3 months to like develop my own software. And like, that's crazy. Like, that is like, there's programs out there now that like you can, I want to build this, and it will literally build the code for you. Like, it'll make your filing system, it will replace that, like, and it's only going to get smarter, and it's only going to, so like, you're going to have this person, and I hope corporations, they switch and they like realize what's about to happen, and like don't just, all right, we don't need you anymore, just you're all laid off.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping is there's a transition of like, okay, well, honestly, with AI, we only need you for 20 hours a week, and we're still making more money because it's just more efficient, but we'll still pay you for 40 hours. Now that's a big crapshoot, right?
This is like the universal income thing, because you've got a lot of these technologists, Elon Musk, for instance, they're pushing. He's now just created this new party, the America Party or American Party, whatever it's called. And one of the planks of that party is pushing for a universal basic income. And I believe that they understand that you're going to have this evisceration of the workforce.
Yeah.
And these otherwise, sit on the dole ought to be given some sort of universal basic income, because their jobs are now going to be occupied by this thing.
Which that should have been the case in the first place.
As
well, I'm just saying, as in, with great power comes great responsibility. Yes, I made the comic book quote, but like, food, water, shelter, like it is.
Yeah, but see, this is where, and I don't want to be argumentative here, but the fact is that what I'm seeing here with you is this ground up communitarianism, where people are self-electing. Like you mentioned, the subdivision. You've got 30 people in this subdivision. They're not being told from above that you are to redistribute your wealth and redistribute your goods and work collectively. They are self-electing to become. It is being derived from the people themselves by their own choices, as opposed to this top-down. again, that's where I look at when I see UBI. I see this overarching at the top of the pyramid hierarchical decision making that's telling the cattle down below that you got to do this or you're not a good person. They're not deriving that. The people themselves are not deriving those decisions because they've applied themselves to your basic tenets and said, I'm doing what are the three parts of your
kindness, respect, and gratitude.
Okay, so now they're not necessarily taking that potential decision and throwing it up against the wall of those three tenets and principles of living, but are then just being told this is what you do and this is why we do it.
I mean, that is
Or
part of
not even bother why.
that is part of the hypnosis, right?
Yes.
That's part of like, I mean, and there's companies that have started like research in Google and stuff like that. I mean, they have extraordinary power, like, all the algorithms, TikTok, Facebook, like if they want billions of people to think something, all they have to do is push an agenda. Like that's it. They just have to, which is look, that's going to be the case for, I think, any time until people decide like they have had enough and like they don't want to live in this prison that like, a lot of people think that this is a prison planet, and it's like, well, that may be the case, but you're the one that threw yourself in the prison, shut the door, and then threw the key out the window. Like that's you can't blame corporations for your negligence, right? And that's but like we have enough supplies to feed the world, to make housing for the world, to give the world, water. We don't have a water problem. We have a salt problem
for everyone. But the problem is that we have, this inability to find it being voluntarily redistributed.
Yeah, and that's and that's I don't know if that's selfishness, greed. I mean, there's probably a bunch of stuff, but
good candidates.
But also at the same time, I will say like, and we've all met these people. Like, here's $20,000, here's $100,000 next week. I'm broke. I'm back on A, B, and C. I'm on the, like they, are on drugs or whatever. I'm not for sure exactly what I can say on here.
You're like, we're going to wrap up here in a couple of minutes, but yeah.
So, money clearly did not help that people. So like you have all these billionaires give all this money to the poor. Well, until they change their mindset, it necessarily won't help. Now, should we have societies that like, there's a reason why there's a liquor store in every corner. Like we can kind of understand that. So it seems like our system, you can win, but it's kind of designed to help you fail.
Yeah.
And that's the fundamental, right? It is so hard to actually make progress to where it's easier just to let the government take care of you. And that's some of the, I think, the core issues.
Well, just to sum up here, and I'd like you guys to be able to kind of contribute maybe some closing remarks about what you think, and then of course make a plug for Heartsmith. But again, I'm grateful for your hosting and the opportunity to be able to come and meet you and have my mind expanded, my heart expanded, and to see what it is that you're creating. And I'm looking forward to coming back. Maybe
you're welcome to come back.
Hopefully prior to 2030, but I can tell.
Oh, that was an original question.
You're gonna have some. You're gonna have some great stuff going on here, and I think that you guys are on the right path. You're not reinventing the wheel. You're just rediscovering the wheel that has been sitting there waiting to be rolled again.
We used to live free. Yeah. Like and it's clear that we used to live free, and that going just real quick, going back to that 5-year thing.
Yeah.
So it would be super cool, just throwing it out here, guys.
Throw it out there.
Here's one. This is
scenario.
Well, here's one community, right?
Okay.
So like, take this same concept and like over here.
Yeah.
Over here. over here.
Yeah, a replicable
And
model.
literally, and I, hey, let's go big. Imagination. We can do anything we want. You just got to remember.
Talking to you.
Yeah, you right there. Yes, you. Because everyone wants to travel, right? A lot of people want to travel, and a lot of people are just too afraid to travel, so they stay in this one spot.
Mhm.
And I'm going to try to make this quick. So embrace that you own nothing, right? Like in life, like the only thing you take with you, I think, after this is experience.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had all these places and people wanted to travel, but like, here's a house, a building that, like, you're like, hey, I really like this place, and there's room here, and I would like to stay here for 6-7 years. But then, like, no, I kind of want to go travel. If we all built communities that the main purpose was for free, like, you can come here, like, your worth is not in your monetary value, your worth is in you, and whatever that means, to where you could travel, and like all these communities would actually be a network of free, of, like, what I would consider freedom. And I think that would be cool in 5 years.
Well, frankly,
Like,
not to make yet another plug for Harvest Hosts, but one of the things that I discovered about that organization that I did not realize, I used to be a Harvest Host with my prior business, is that many, perhaps as much as half of the potential location hosts are like yourself, private residential individuals.
there's your connection already starting.
Breweries, and they're not
Right.
breweries or wineries or farms per se. They're just folks that want to be. And so you've got the basis here with this organization that's already kind of the nucleus for what you're talking about. I'm not necessarily saying it would be Harvest Host, but there's already a network of people out there, and
all we have to do is come together.
yeah,
Like, that's it.
yeah.
That's literally it. Coming together, and you don't have to die to experience heaven. It's in front of your eyes.
It is most certainly.
Like,
we have been blessed here with God's creation.
Yeah.
Christina,
Yes.
closing comments.
Well,
closing not to put you on the spot.
Right. Well,
don't mess up.
we thank you guys for listening to our story, and we hope that Heartsmith Homestead becomes something even greater than it is now. If you want to visit our website, www.heartsmithhomestead.org, you can learn more about other projects we've worked on, projects we hope to work on in the future, where to donate, and all that jazz. We do have PayPal donations now, which is awesome.
Okay, excellent.
And I think one thing that we didn't bring up with all of this, we touched on the kindness, respect, and gratitude a few times, but also this place is a place for learning, growing, and playing together. That is the Heartsmith motto. We have the rules to live by when you're here, but the motto is to learn, grow, and play together. I think you need all three of those things, including play, to live a more fulfilled, balanced life.
Awesome. So I will be sure to put heartsmithhomestead.org in the show description, so you'll be able to click on that and go straight to their website. And I want to thank everyone for watching today. I want to thank Eric and Cristina for opening their home and sitting down with me today and telling us more about what they have envisioned for their beautiful space here. And please don't forget, like the show, subscribe to Hands On Living, and I'll see you next time.
Finger guns.
Thank you. I gotta stop.
Finger guns.
Remember when I was obsessed with doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Let's pray that was recording.
Oh gosh.
Oh God.
This is a major problem I've got to
overcome
here. I think we're okay.
Okay.
Round
Actually,
6.
I think we're not okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Should we
that's
not record that?
Because we're